WYPA Up Radio with MC8. Steele and Big James has taken over the radio station.
Well, all right, y'all. All across the USC, Compton, Watts, Bay to LA. Pomona, California, from valley to valley, we represent that killer Cali. So if you keeping it real on your side of your town, you tune in to Gangsta Chronicles.
Gangsta Chronicles, we gon' tell you how it goes.
If I lie, my nose will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth.
Gangsta Chronicles, this is not your average show.
You're now tuned into the real MC8, Big James, and Big Steele.
This is strictly from the streets.
Hello.
We represent the James.
Y'all have beef, which it's a beef that starts a few bars get exchanged between Eminem and Benzino. Benzino put out a record, right? Dissing Eminem.
Right.
And so Eminem is an incredible artist. But I think a lot of points that Benzino had were valid points. At the time they were. You know, he gets away with certain shit that black artists can't get away with doing. You know what I mean? So y'all get this thing and Interscope and they decide to, okay, we're not gonna run no more ads in the magazine.
Right.
What was the feeling then, man? Because it seemed like that was just like, that was some major shit right there.
I mean, them pulling the ads or just the whole situation?
Just the whole situation, because I've never seen somebody take them getting criticized so personal. It was like other people, when you're an artist and you put your art on display, you go out there, put yourself out there, you're not just opening yourself up from the praise that you go garner from that, you're opening yourself up for any criticism. We doing this podcast. It might have 1,000 likes on that motherfucker. It's always gonna be the one or two motherfuckers, oh, that was some bullshit.
I think it's one thing for criticism, but I think it's one thing when you have a personal issue with the way you feel about some situations, because you're saying that, Eminem was able to get away with certain shit that, regular artists couldn't pull, but shit, look at who the fuck he is. He was a big ass motherfucking diamond selling fucking artist.
That's true.
You get me?
A lot of them out the gate with that first.
A lot of motherfucking artists on that status can get away with a lot of shit. You get me?
Yeah.
And I just feel it. I mean, shit. Look at the shit Kanye do as a fucking black artist. You get me? He get away with a gang of shit that motherfuckers on a normal page would not be fucking with.
Yeah, it's true. But my
you
thing,
feel me?
yeah, but my thing is this though, bro. How many artists do you see go try to shut down a whole magazine because somebody said something they didn't like? You're always going to have some criticism, and that was my thing with it.
You talk about the president.
Yeah, because
he's going to try to shut your shit down. Shut that fucking shit down. Shut it down right now. You can't, of course.
And am I making sense?
We're supposed to be able to have freedom of speech. But really, can you have freedom of speech when motherfuckers are in power?
Yeah, because it seemed like that was just real personal with me, because he wasn't the first artist that y'all had comments about, you know what I mean, that might have said something derogatory about, and it didn't get to that level. But when it was him, it seemed like it was just a lot of personal shit behind that, dog.
Well, first of all, we did a lot to help Eminem in his career, and help blow him up. Okay, he was in Unsigned Hype. Before he got his record deal, we featured him in Unsigned Hype. He's the first white person, artist, anything ever to be on the cover of The Source. After 10 plus years when he got a cover, he was the first white person ever on the cover. He won Lyricist of the Year at the Source Awards, I believe in '99.
Oh, he's a rapping motherfucker, dog. You can't dispute that. He's a rapping motherfucker.
So, we really supported him for the first several years of his career. The situation really, started around the time of the 8 Mile movie. And, that was when kind of like the media was going into a whole nother level about Eminem. Like, he's the king of hip hop. He's the greatest artist of all time. This movie, this, that, and the other, that type of thing. I think that was the sentiment that kind of, Benzino was talking to me about and kind of got under his skin a little bit of feeling like, you know, this is just too much, and this is kind of like reminded me of what happened with rock and roll and Elvis and things like that, and we got to be, you know. So anyway, he vented by making a little diss record on a mixtape, and then, like you said, it just all of a sudden it escalated like crazy. All kinds of shit was going on, you know, behind that, and you know, one thing led to another. I mean, it definitely got personal, which, you know, was not a good thing. But
and that's what I'm talking about right there. I don't think it was nothing wrong with him being upset or whatever like that. But I'm like, okay, now, and even you see in other situations, if someone says something against that dude, he takes it really personal. And I'm like, you rich motherfucker, you just kick back, fuck what that dude talking about, do your thing.
Right.
Because he's the one thing you can't not dispute with him, and we ain't gonna get singing about Eminem, is he's a rapping motherfucker. He can rhyme his ass off, he can rhyme. But it's a whole bunch of other rhyming motherfuckers too. You got Chino XL, you got Razzcast, dudes that rap just as good as him, but never got the thing because he had a push. He was the, you know, a lot of people bought Eminem albums that didn't necessarily fuck with rap. A lot of them sales wasn't necessarily from the hip hop community. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we get that. Now, my main question with that is, you get Interscope.
That's because he started pleasing to that side. When Eminem first came out to me, he was rapping. You know, I'm Slim Shady and that type of shit. And when you start doing records about niggas killing themselves over you and shit like that, you're crossing over to a different side, okay? So of course, those other motherfuckers, you don't think motherfuckers outside of hip hop start gravitating to a motherfucker who's ready to commit suicide over a nigga? That's
a whole bunch of
some
emo
other
motherfuckers.
shit. You get me? That's some other side.
But another part of that is like, you know, because they try to say that like that Eminem made hip hop bigger by bringing in a new audience, and you know, my thing is, you know, any rapper before Eminem, all the black artists that went platinum, multi-platinum, you know, the majority of their audience was white consumers.
You goddamn right.
Since Run DMC all the way up. So that wasn't like a new thing, you know, for like all of a sudden all these white people to be buying hip hop. You know what I mean? So,
but like you said, in my opinion, you ain't listening to black hip-hop artists talk about how motherfuckers are stalking them and ready to kill them and kidnap them over shit and ready to drive cars off of bridges in the rain because you don't recognize them as being a fucking fan. You don't get niggas to do that type of shit. When you connect with that type of motherfucker, it's some motherfucker sitting up really like that.
Yeah.
That's when you start reaching a different side. So I get what you're saying. It's cool to have your opinion about, but goddamn, you get me? Like you're feeling like, okay, this motherfucker taking our art form. He's taking our, but then, like you said, a motherfucker could rap like a motherfucker. Yeah, there was no disputing that at first. There was no problem at first. You get me? And a lot of motherfuckers gravitated to him because Dr. Dre stepped in.
Oh,
you
yeah,
get me?
and he don't
gotta
get no
remember,
credit.
before Dre stepped in, he had shit that was mediocre. When Dre came in and gave him the 2 songs, it took him there, straight up. So I get it. You can have that opinion, but like you said, it's personal because I don't think a lot of people were looking at it to where that's what media is going to do, though. Media is going to go, he's the great white hope. He's here to save hip-hop. They don't like hip-hop anyway. So why not piss a motherfucker off and go, the white boy is here to save hip-hop? Of course.
And you know, the thing is, I was working for a publishing company as an A&R one time, and the company I was working for was based in London. So I'm sitting out there listening to a 19-year-old son tell me about hip-hop, and we had dinner one night, he say, well, Eminem saved hip-hop. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you know, he saved hip-hop, so fuck Chuck D and fuck Public Enemy and KRS-One and all these other people. Is Eminem, you should say he brought it to your attention.
Yeah.
That was the first one get your attention.
Them motherfuckers don't know how to speak still.
Yeah.
Youngsters don't know how to speak. You ask them who the greatest of all time, and they gonna say some shit like that. Especially when they don't come from your official era. You get me?
That's what I'm saying. So You get all this advertising money, and other people started following suit. Other record companies started kind of following suit because they didn't want to look like they was going against it. Because Interscope at that time was the shit. They was the machine. They had everything over there.
Yeah, but I mean, Universal Music Group, owned Interscope, owned Def Jam, owned Universal Records. They had maybe 70, 80% of the market. So, but, another thing about that is, at this time, the Source is getting advertising dollars from so many types of companies, cars, soft drinks, sneakers, fast food.
So it didn't matter then.
Advertising was a small amount. That
so you wasn't tripping?
No.
So that's why you was able to react the way you did, was like, fuck you then.
Right. It didn't, that didn't mean nothing,
And so, I managed Glasses Malone, and he's on Clubhouse the other night. He's in the room, and we ain't gonna go into the detail. I guess Royce was in his feelings because you was in there, y'all having a cordial conversation, and I guess he kicked you off the stage, whatever, right? Because of that, man. All that stuff is still going on to this day. Is still that much animosity and resentment.
I mean, not on my end. I don't have any animosity or resentment about anything.
Oh, it's not obviously not you. Between other people.
Yeah, I mean, that was just, I don't know. He just, I said something that he took an offense, and he started, talking a bunch of stuff, and then he basically just hung the phone up on me, on Clubhouse, cut me off, and started talking shit after he cut me off. But,
that's a whole other conversation.
I don't care about none of that.
We get off.
It wasn't even something I really wanted to do. I don't know how I got into that room that night, but
man, you launching the podcast network. Ain't no such thing as bad advertising. That shit was everywhere. I'm gonna tell you this, man. We could do an episode here talking about a cure for AIDS, talking about a guaranteed cure for cancer, and talk about peace and all that shit. That shit won't get no attention. But if we got somebody in here talking about who got their head busted, or whose wife got plugged, man, it's gonna be all over the place. So sometimes, it's like, hey, it's what it is, man. So let's think about this, man. You've already accomplished something that was like, that's going to go down in history. The Source magazine will be remembered 200 years from now. It's going to be spoke on. When they go do classes up in Harvard, Yale, and all that, or wherever they do in school, how they do in school in the future, they go talk about it right now. You got your new venture, man, that you launched, man. You jumping in the podcast game, man. You have a podcast network.
Yeah. It's called Breakbeat. And it's a hip-hop podcast network. Right now we have 8 different podcasts going, different types of podcasts. So we're doing some that are, visual talk, discussion format type podcasts, sort of like, these. That's what we're doing. But we're also doing, more of the journalistic, narrative storytelling produced style of podcasts. So you're doing scripted stuff over there too. That's dope. I'm working on one right now.
Yeah. That them two actually gonna be in. They don't know it yet, but they gonna be in it. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So I got like a couple of hosts that I think are amazing. One is Don't Call Me White Girl. She's from Philly. That's our first podcast. Mm-hmm. Some of y'all know her. Well, most people know about Why You Being Weird to Me. About that?
Actually, I'm hip to the old girl. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So she started all that, and she was on $1 Million Worth of Game last year as a co-host with Gillian Wallow for a few months, and she was killing it on there. She's just super funny, but super smart. Mm-hmm. I think she's going to be one of the most successful kind of female hosts and talent in the game in not too long. So I call her like one of my unsigned hypes of Breakbeat. Podcasting is an industry that, there's a lot of, interesting things going on, but it's a place where, new talent can be discovered, new voices, new perspectives. Mm-hmm. A podcast network is kind of like the digital magazine that everybody's been trying to figure out how to do for years. You hear that term digital magazine, but it's never, we've never read a digital magazine, but a podcast network has all the different sections, again, the music, the fashion, the politics, the health, the, sports, we'll be covering all of these things. But just with that hip hop, style, perspective, point of view. Funny Marco is the other one I would call like my unsigned hype. Most of you guys probably
I'm into Funny Marco.
He's funny as shit, and I just think he has a certain comedic style that can be brought into the podcast world, and I think he's going to get even bigger. We just started shooting his podcast in Atlanta last week. White Girl, Don't Call Me White Girl, has been out already now. That's on our YouTube. You can check out the first few episodes of her show. It's doing really, really well. I'm coming with my podcast, the Dave MAYS Show. I'm gonna be recording that in Chicago every week, starting like next month. Just me in conversations with different influential people from the culture. Giving people a chance to hear more of my point of view on things, more of my experiences. Even doing this like here tonight and the things I'm doing now is somewhat new for me. I was always like more of a behind the scenes type of person. I didn't really want to get the attention or the limelight. I was just about building the business. But it's a different world now. I feel like I have an important story of what I've done that needs to be known and documented in the past, but also an important voice that I think people will benefit or enjoy hearing in a lot of different ways through the podcast that I'm going to launch as well. Then on the scripted side, I want to talk about the two projects we have going so far. One is the story of the unsigned hype column in the Source. Let me get this water.
That's dope.
That's an 8-part series where we'll tell, the whole backstory of the unsigned hype, how it was created, how we found these different artists, how they got their record deals, all the people that was working on those situations. That's coming out great. And then the other one is the Larry Hoover story. We're doing his life story as a 10-part series. Now, this is the first time that the family has ever participated in the telling of his story, so it's not going to be one of the, same old story about Larry Hoover that you have ever gotten out there.
I have conversations with Larry. He used to call my house.
Really?
A few years back in probably about 95, 96.
Yeah.
He used to call me at my house.
What were those conversations like?
I knew his son. Yeah, it's back when they was trying to start the little clothing line they had.
Sure.
Back,
Ghetto Prisoner.
Yes. So, I used to talk to him all the time. He used to just call me and we would have just conversations.
Good conversations, right?
Good dude. Yeah.
That's dope, man, because what they did to him is a travesty, man. It's like, and I think what our government does sometimes, man, people that are influential, because, see, I don't think he got put in jail for actual crimes. I think he got sent away for the influence that he has.
Absolutely.
Because
in the politics, I mean, he's the only person in our culture, in the urban culture, any kind of, black gangster type figure that's ever, really been serious about politics. They don't want you to know the truth about that, what he was doing, that 21st century vote. We were making an impact out there, like politically, and it was growing, and that's
he definitely, man, because you kind of need. I truly believe if he was out, a lot of the stuff, because you can't prevent 100% of everything, but I think if he was out, he has enough respect that some of the stuff that's happening in Chicago wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I think it would be a positive thing, and he deserves.
It would definitely be a positive thing.
I've gotten to know his family really well, and he deserves to be out and be able to spend some time with his family. So hopefully, what we're doing in telling his story in a really accurate, in-depth way, like we're doing, it's going to contribute, to that.
Yeah, you get to talk to Jay Prince.
Do people still think he a threat?
Oh,
The government?
Yeah, they won't let him out. I mean,
they won't let him out.
He has every legal right to be out now. He's qualified on a few different bases with the reform laws that happen. A lot of people on his case all are out, and they've kept him, because they have a vendetta, really.
And where he's based at, James, it's like on the inside of a mountain or some shit like that in Colorado.
He's in the Supermax.
Yeah, he's like inside of a mountain.
And the Unabomber. I was out there. I didn't get to go in, but I was out there a couple of months ago with his family while they were visiting.
And that gives you an idea, man, of what they think about him, man. They put him in Supermax with El Chapo and the Unabomber. They're saying he's a threat because he can possibly point those guys in the direction that they need to go in and see. That's what I tell people a lot of times from out of town. There is no king of LA. Ain't no shot caller right here because motherfuckers don't give a fuck. They don't respect the motherfucker, right? But maybe if it was that one person that everybody was just scared to fuck up, shit wouldn't be the way it is. You know, you always have to have somebody that's willing to, that's not only feared, man, loved, but respected. You know what I mean? Because it's a difference. Somebody's scared of you, they just go kill you. Straight up. You know, you get killed by somebody. Somebody's scared of you, you'll die. When people respect you, it's a whole different thing. You know, and I think he has the respect to where a lot of this stuff wouldn't be happening and going down. And I think that's dope that y'all doing that, man. So how many shows do you have total now on the network to launch it off?
8.
So you got those 8.
We'll be looking for more. We're already planning the next round.
Sounds good.
Yeah. You can, check us out on all the podcast apps, on our Breakbeat Media YouTube, and our website, breakbeatmedia.com. We got this show, Trapping Anonymous. I don't want to forget about that. Trapping Anonymous is a dope-ass show. Yeah, it was actually out. He was doing it independently for a while as an audio podcast, and it got picked up by Tidal.
Yeah, I remember that kid. I actually tried to sign him when he first, this is when I was young with Digital Soapbox. It was one of the most, it was some dope shit, man.
Yeah,
it was some real dope shit.
It's crazy. He does
it's crazy.
Interviews, and so now we made a visual version with him. So, you blur out the person's face and their voice. When
he's Trapping Anonymous. He really talking to motherfuckers that's getting it in. I heard that shit. I was like, what the hell is this shit? Yeah. I'm gonna try to see if I'm gonna find it. Has he released it yet?
Yeah, not the new ones. We're gonna release this, probably also in the next few weeks. So that's coming.
Because he's from New York, right?
He's from Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah, because I know it was some other shit, but yeah, he does some good shit. I'm glad you picked him up, man.
Yeah, thanks.
And if we go, definitely we can have him on here anytime. He's more than welcome to, dog. He's more than welcome to come on here. You'll like him.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, you'll like him, man. So, as far as your podcast network, are you guys doing it independently or are you partnered up with some people?
It's independent. I have, the one business partner I think I mentioned from DC, my man, his name is Kendrick Ashton. He and I are partners. We have some strategic partners. This company named Dax that's owned by Global Media in UK. Dax is
Dax is dope. I'm hip to them.
Yep. They do audio advertising sales, so they're helping us bring in all the sponsors and ads on the podcast on the audio side. And then PRX is also a partner. PRX is a really well-respected podcast publisher. They got
another dope podcast that's over there too, where they go talk to the brothers in jail and they let them tell their stories. They actually had her co-host for the longest, James, was a guy that was locked up, and they was doing the show remotely, and he was her co-host, and they tell different people that's locked up, and I forget the name of the podcast.
I wish I could remember.
Yeah, I can't remember it, man, but it's a dope podcast, man, and it's so much, and that's the thing about the audio. That's why I'm so, I don't know if you weren't here earlier, but I was telling Brian, leave the mics where they at, because I'm really big on sound, because I had to remind people, first and foremost, we are a podcast. The video stuff is cool, but we a podcast. We got a lot of truck drivers. Shout out to my truck drivers out there that's listening to the show, driving down those freeways, bringing us the stuff across the country. We get a lot of love from the truck drivers, man, from the truckers. People in their cars, people at home.
And people who just stuck, period, in their cars, their vehicles. A lot of people tell me, man, I listen to y'all all the time, man.
My boy Flip, he be on it in his truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, shouts out to Flip.
Yeah, we got a guy, actually got some truckers that's about to start putting our logos on the side of the thing. I'm talking about on the house, they just showing love, man. And that's the great thing about communication. It goes back to communication to have a message. Now, back then, it wasn't cool for the CEO, for the boss to have, to be in front. But now with this right now, you almost have to.
Right.
Because you have a message.
That's right.
That you got to get out, and can't nobody tell your story better than you can, homeboy.
Exactly.
That's right.
I'm
here.
You feel what I'm saying? Can't nobody
me now. I'm gonna be out here.
Yeah. So, are you guys doing anything? As far as your podcast, you guys got people from all around the country now.
Yeah. I mean, I got 2 podcasts going in Chicago. I got one in Philly, 2 in New York, 1 in Atlanta, and I'm out here next couple of days trying to close up another situation out here. So I have 1 or 2 shows going in LA soon as well.
No, for sure, man. Anything that we can do to help you, man, with that, going on, you partnered up with some good people, man. Anything we can do to help, man, you a friend, so.
Definitely.
So we got you.
Yeah, and like I said, I've been watching what you guys have been doing with this show and what you were doing with the network and everything like that. So I'm glad we got a chance to connect, and I'm sure we'll find some things we can do together going forward.
No, for sure, man, for sure. One of the things I wanted to ask you, man, with doing this podcast network, your last project, man, was pretty big. Everything you've done has pretty much been successful. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel any pressure going into this, man? Like, man, I'm the dude that started the source, man. This podcast network got to crack off.
I mean, there's a little bit, but I just believe in what I've been doing. I've always believed in, my vision for these companies that I've been building. But this is one that, I just feel like this can be bigger than anything that I've ever done before. Mm-hmm. I just think for a lot of reasons, hip hop is bigger than it's ever been. It's now spans 3 generations. So the size of the audience globally everywhere is enormous. We're at this kind of, point in the media business where like the playing field is kind of leveled. These big companies don't have the kind of strategic advantages that they once did. Yeah.
I love it.
There's a lot of, we have a technology side to Breakbeat that we've been developing. And so next year, we'll plan to, release some, technology things, a Breakbeat app, that kind of situation, as part of the future plans of growth of the company as well. Mm-hmm. So the podcast network is really the building block. But podcasting is such a powerful medium right now. I mean, it's the highest advertising rates of any form of media right now. I mean, it combines so many different things. I just think it has a big future and a big upside because a lot of people still aren't regular podcast consumers. So
yeah, and even if they don't think they are. It's rolling into it because one thing I had to really, because I've been doing this for so long, I was really just like against those things at first, the cameras and stuff like that. I wanted to keep it all audio. So the first 15 episodes of Gangsta Chronicles, as far as a visual, it ain't no visual. It was all audio. You know what I mean? They still some of our most listened to episodes. But I think now as we deal with this generation, they're more visible. And with the advent of these things right here, the video is, the video is introducing a lot more people because I was just kind of checking out one day. I was messing around with the fans on YouTube, and this dude inboxed me and said, man, how come y'all always just release 5-minute clips of the show? I want to listen to the whole thing. I said, I've been for a few years, and y'all always just put out 5 minutes. Why don't y'all do a whole show? I said, bro, I sent him the link to Apple. I said, you can go listen to all these in full right there. He didn't know nothing about those.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. So you think about it, it's like you have to put it out on all formats now.
That's right.
Or you may miss something, man. So what's the URL to the website, the Breakbeats, man?
It's breakbeatmedia.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And man, for all those fans out there, don't be sending my man to no trashy links, man, to y'all podcasts. Make sure they tight. For you sending this to the dude that invented the source.
Yeah, we're looking, man. Looking for new shows, new talent. You know what I mean? So yeah, please, check out what we're doing and, let us know what you got going on.
I got a couple of people I might send you to. You looking for like upcoming rappers? Like what kind of music?
I mean, we're not doing music per se yet. As you guys know, it's hard. It's kind of hard to incorporate music into podcasting because they don't have the licensing, in place. So I'm looking at different ways, that we will incorporate music. Obviously, we have guests. We will have shows. Funny Marco's got a bunch of different artists that are guests on his show, and we're about to start bringing in some guests for Don't Call Me White Girl and things like that. And those will be platforms where new artists. Even my show, I'm going to try to figure out how I can highlight up and coming talent, within my podcast.
I think that would be dope, man.
Right.
Well, man, we really appreciate having you on here, man.
Yeah.
And man, you can come back anytime, dog.
Yeah, I will.
You can come back anytime, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
You know what I'm saying? Dope conversation, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, man. It's another episode of Gangsta Chronicles, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all will end it like that, man.
Man, I'm glad to be back at work, goddamn.
Yeah, hell yeah, because we had a hiatus. I wanted to tell y'all we back on hiatus, so we back off of hiatus, so y'all can stay out my inbox. We are back on.
Yes,
like we can't
indeed.
take a break. We had to take a break.
All y'all people, stop worrying, stop wondering.
I was getting them texts too, man. Where y'all at? I ain't shit.
Yeah, I had a motherfucker cuss me out. He said, "Man, Steele, you fucking up, man." They always hit me like they know you fucking up, dog. I got this one dude, man. I ain't gonna put his name out there so everybody blow him up, but he's one of those fans that from the very beginning, he kind of went with me. Then when we went through the split, he had his opinions about the stuff. And he said, well, you doing a good job, man. Keep it going. But then if something happens, still, you got to tighten that shit up. Tell whoever that is breathing on the microphone to cut that shit out. So I like to call him the silent engineer. Shout out to my dude, man.
Right.
But we out of here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.